Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here this Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Glad to have you guys here. Thank you for tuning in. Now, here's the thing I want to talk about. First off, I want to run over what people are doing out there. There's a TikTok thing going on where people are jumping out of boats. They're getting on the stern of the boat and they're jumping off into the wake behind the boat. Ha ha ha, it's fun and everything. And yeah, sometimes they get away with it, depending on how they land. But if they go down head first into that fast rushing water, well, what does it say about water here? It says hitting the water from a moving boat is like hitting concrete from jumping from multiple stories up. People don't realize that. They think water's soft. It's soft if you don't hit it really hard. You know, it's the same way with an airplane going along. You know, an airplane, if you're going to crash land, say you're going to crash land, right? You crash land on the ground, the airplane will slide across the ground. It's not good. It's very bad to hit the ground in an airplane. But if an airplane hits the water, it's much worse than crashing onto the ground. Where an airplane slides across the ground but hits the water, it's like hitting a brick wall. And it's the same way when you jump off a boat like that. So if you guys are out there this summer, you know, and your kids say, "Oh, I saw this thing on TikTok, people jump off." No, don't. If your head hits the water first, it'll snap your neck. Do not try that. Anyway, I just wanted to say that because, you know, it's a thing that's like, why I wanted to mention it is because it's something that's going around right now. People are thinking like it's this fad sort of thing, you know. People are thinking it's a smart thing to do. No, it's not a smart thing to do. Another thing I wanted to point out today while we're talking here is Russia and the Russian war over Ukraine. Russia is going into mass production, you know, of weapons, and the United States and all the allied countries are too. They're upping their production of weapons systems. But one of the things that the Russians are working hard on is the Kinzhal missile. These Kinzhal missiles, you know, most of them are armed. It depends on what they arm them with. They can arm them with nuclear if they want to. But most of them right now or I should say all of them right now, are armed with conventional explosives. But they're a hypersonic missile. And so Russia's in steady production run right now. Assembly line sort of thing of these Kinzhals. The war over there in Ukraine right now is a kind of a race for munitions from the west and the east. And it's turned into kind of a war of attrition, but it's also a war in a race for munitions. Talking about other things now. While I'm talking in this, I'll put the silver price up here for today, right here, and I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about what's called the terminal rate. The Fed, you know, what they're doing in their fight against inflation has a curve. And to picture this curve, you have to picture like throwing a football up into the air. When a player throws a football straight up into the air, it has a velocity. And it goes up and up and up, and it starts to slow down, and it reaches a peak in the curve, and it almost stops in midair up there. Where it stopped going up, and then it starts to fall. And just for a second, it stops. Well, that's what the Fed looks at. They know that there's a curve. There's about a 6 to 8 month delay in the things that they do in the past to the effect it's going to have in the future. And they're looking for what's called a terminal rate to try to stop inflation. They don't want to go too far with this because if they go too far, they'll get a collapse in the economy. And so they're searching and they're trying to err on the side of caution toward this because they know what happened during the Volcker administration. Paul Volcker. They were fighting inflation back then. And the first time that Paul Volcker tried fighting inflation, they didn't meet the terminal rate, and they eased too quickly. And so what happened was inflation roared back hot again. And then they had to put interest rates all the way up to, I think it was 18% to stop it. You have to get the interest rate higher than the rate of inflation in order to successfully fight inflation. In other words, you have to depress the economy. You have to deflate the economy. You have to deleverage the economy. So the Fed's right now looking for this terminal rate, and they're continuing to tighten. The problem is they've passed the terminal rate. They've passed that spot where the football hits as high as it's going to go and it stops. Because of trying to err on the side of caution, they've passed that. That happened a few months ago. I know this. They don't know it. They haven't figured it out. The ball's already fallen and gaining speed. That's the economy. It's already falling and gaining speed right now, but they're still trying to find that top of the curve to where they're going to quit tightening and stuff, and they're going to start to loosen monetary policy. They're still trying to find that. That's why they're erring, because they don't want to make the mistake of easing too soon and then have inflation roar back. But they've already passed that, and now it's falling and falling fast, but we're still in that area where it hasn't manifested. People can't see it yet. Well, you're going to see it. You're going to see it in the economy. Discretionary spending is already dropping off a cliff. The consumer out there is tapped out, and the banks are not lending. So this is going to take a little while to manifest itself, and we're going to continue to keep our eye on it here on this channel. But today, looking at the price of silver today at $23.10. We didn't get that dip we had the other day during the opening of the NYMEX or COMEX. Looks like it's maintaining pretty steady today across that little that little depression in the sidewalk or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so we're at $23.10 today. Right now is a great time to buy silver because the premiums are down as low as we've seen them for quite a little while. And gold, I think gold, you don't have to worry quite so much about the premium. Silver's more of a premium thing with silver. Anyway, $19.31 for gold. It's up $5.90 today. Taking a look at cryptocurrencies today, and what we're seeing is a Bitcoin price at $30,514, and Ethereum is at $18.73. No, the Fed is looking for this soft landing, you see. And they're not going to get it because they have to hit it right on that terminal rate and start to ease. They've passed the terminal rate a few months in the rearview mirror. And so instead of a soft landing or any kind of just a recession, they're moving into depression territory now. They're overcooking it, in other words. The turkey's in the oven. You pull it out right now, you'll still have a juicy turkey. That's the terminal rate. That's what they want to do. But if you leave it in too long, you're going to have a dry turkey. And that's what they're doing right now. They're already hit the point of a dry turkey, and now they're going to have something that's just going to turn into a rock and maybe even burn. That's what they're doing. Anyway, guys, so that's what cryptocurrencies are doing today. Bitcoin's holding its own at 30,522, and Ethereum at 1873, and XRP at 47 cents. Now, as far as the Dow Jones Industrial Average is concerned, we're up 133 points at 34,077. This market has went nowhere in ages. Considering the rate of inflation and the purchasing power of your dollar means that since this market has went nowhere, The market has actually dropped. Even though the numbers are the same, 34,000 was like a year ago was 34,000. Even though the numbers are still the same, I mean, way back here, let me see. Let me put it on the 2-year chart here. I mean, it's just been going along. You can see it's been going along sideways all there. 30, roughly 34,000 right here. Way back in the 6th of 2021, and here way out here it's the same. Just went along sideways all this time. But see, inflation has drained a certain percentage of your purchasing power out of your dollar now. See, in other words, those collective dollars that were in the market back then would buy more than they buy now. So actually the market's dropped. It's the same thing. What's happening with gold and silver and stuff? The price of everything out there is going up. But this market hasn't went up. The price of gold and silver hasn't really went up. But everything else is going up. So that means that in actuality, it's actually went down. Because this is all, everything is supposed to go up to keep up with the inflation, and it hasn't. But it's going to. Because when the best performing stock markets in the world are when countries have a hyperinflation. And that we do not see anything that even resembles a political will to allow a depression, not a recession, but a depression to actually happen. Because when the depression, do you remember how quick the Federal Reserve reacted to those banks going down? Quick emergency meetings, gotta have emergency meetings. And they got right in there, and they said, we'll guarantee all deposits, even though over $250,000 deposits. We're going to guarantee everything. We're going to backstop everything. And they opened up a funding thing for the banks. And the balance sheet of the Fed went right up, $400 billion overnight. That's how quick they respond. And don't you think that they're going to do exactly the same thing when a depression starts here? No matter what they got to do. They'll do whatever they have to do. They're not going to allow deflation. But deflation is heading our way. So what we're looking at here is a pivot. The Fed changing direction 180 degrees, but only when they're forced to. So what we're waiting for is this inflection point to occur, because we're past the terminal rate right now at this point. The ball's falling. But it hasn't fell far enough to trigger everything yet. And that's kind of what we're waiting for. When it triggers everything, and then that reversal, this is the ultimate reversal for gold and silver's fortune as well. This is going to be what you guys been waiting for. This moonshot is going to be triggered when the Fed changes direction. And this is what we're waiting for. And it's not years away. Okay, so crude oil today is 73.87. It's up 88 cents on the day, or 1.21%. So we're seeing crude prices spiking up. Bonds and rates today, we're looking at U.S. 30-year at 4.02%. It's up, down 1.9 basis points. And the U.S. 10-year's at 3.98, and it's down 2 basis points today. They have to keep that 10-year down. And you notice the 10-year is down under 4%. And if you move to the shorter-term rates, taking a look maybe at the U.S. 6-month at 5.5%, even the 1 month is 5.2%. But look at that 10-year, 3.98. Why? This defies the laws of money. The laws of money is the longer you're going to take and have money out there, the more interest you should make. 10 years, you're only making 3.9. And in 1 month, you're making 5.2. The reason why is because everything is pegged to that 10-year. All and they don't want to crash these bubbles. But the bubbles are starting to burst anyway, especially the commercial real estate bubble and regular real estate, just real estate in general, houses and everything. And refining on these homes and stuff, it was because interest rates were lower. People were refinancing, and then the refinancing was adding something to adding income to the economy. People would refinance their homes, and they gave them a line of credit. Well, they ain't happening now. And then all the student loans out there, they ain't happening anymore, because the student loans is going to have to be paid back, and they thought they had a clear run. Well, I hate to say it, but that discretionary income's going to be gone, and that's a lot. It's like $1 trillion, I think, or massive amounts of money. It's going to be gone. It's not going to be going. You're not going to see them going down through the shopping mall anymore and buying all these expensive items in the shopping malls. First thing you know, see, this is how deflation works. First thing you know, they don't have that discretionary income anymore, and then the stores that they were purchasing from aren't having them as shoppers anymore, and then they can't pay their bills, and then they go under, and then their employees go under, and then they can't buy from this guy and that guy, and then the next thing you know, they go bankrupt. Everybody starts to fail. It's a trigger or a domino effect in the economy. Taking a look at the dollar today is at 101.88, the dollar index. So the dollar's been dropping because it was up to 104. It peaked out around 104. Now it's 101.88. So the dollar is dropping. What's it dropping against? The euro. You know what a mess the euro is? Well, the euro makes up about 60% of the dollar index. And then there's a bunch of other smaller currencies too that make up the rest, like the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, and so on. Japanese yen, and so on, that make up the dollar index. But they're all garbage, and the dollar's probably the strongest one of the bunch. It's the one people want the most because it's the world reserve currency, and it still is the world reserve currency. The BRICS are saying to themselves, not for long. They got plans of dethroning the dollar. Thank you guys for listening to my show. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.